7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's now time for the Pony Cake Sports Podcast with your hosts, Josh Stevens, Tim Thompson, and Tom Schultz. Woo!
Hey there, everybody. We are back with another episode, and of course, we took last week off. We had a bunch of stuff going on, but we are back this week. We are going to be recapping this past week in the NFL, talking about the next week, week number 7, week number 8, obviously. But before we get to that, Tim, Tom, guys, how we doing?
I am doing fantastic. So excited to be back. I've been out for actually 2 weeks. My apologies. Had father-in-law needed a hand.
A garage on his roof?
Yeah, didn't you put a garage on his roof or
I
something?
literally spent the last week redoing a roof. I'm not the handiest of men.
No.
But I'm not exaggerating you. We replaced an entire roof. So I appreciate everyone being patient with me. I would much rather have been here. It was not the best of times. My little girly hands are no longer lotioned. They've had nails through them. But we're here now. Let's talk football.
Tim, you have nice hands. Don't be so down. I missed you guys. Glad to be back.
Ribbed for her pleasure.
Let's go ahead and talk about
Everything
the
Mike's
Thursday.
ever said, by the way.
Yeah, that is good. Let's go and start off with the Thursday night game. We have the Denver Broncos going to the Arizona Cardinals, and the Broncos just routed the Cardinals. It was crazy. I was looking at the point spread on this game, and it started off as 3.5 for the Broncos, moved to 2.5, moved to 1.5, moved to 1. I was like, what the hell is going on? That money line, or that betting line just moved like crazy. All the money was going towards the Cardinals to with the points. They get blown out 45-10, and the Cardinals looked atrocious on all sides of the ball. Offensive side of the ball, that offensive line is hot garbage, so bad. I thought Josh Rosen was going to get hurt. We were talking in our group chat. Mike was talking about how he thought that Josh Rosen was going to get hurt in this game. They should have pulled him. And you know what did happen? He ended up hurting his foot. This team is so bad. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, normally when a team gets blown out, it's the road team because it's kind of hard to travel on a short week's notice and get everything going and play the best football, especially when you played the week before. Got to give the Broncos credit. Cardinals, thank God they fired Mike McCoy. That offense has been a disaster. I feel extremely bad for anyone that drafted David Johnson. I got him in a league or two. Hopefully this will kind of change his forecast for the rest of the season. Still think he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. They are just not using him right. That offense hopefully will look different. But yeah, 1-6 right now. The Cardinals, it's not looking good. I could not believe the end of that game when they almost got Rosen destroyed.
Do you guys know who the new offensive coordinator is?
Byron Leftwich.
Byron Leftwich. It's crazy. What did he retire in 2012?
Something like that.
Moving up the ranks that quick, being an offensive coordinator.
So I'm going to add in a little bit here of, we're not going to have a news episode this week, so to speak. So I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of stuff just about each team if there is news throughout here. First, I want to say I agree completely. The Cardinals are atrocious. Secondly, Josh, don't try to make Josh Rosen's injury sound cool. It wasn't a foot injury. Josh Rosen went with the most Hollywood, walks out with the boot like he was just shot in the leg. He had a toe injury.
I thought
it's a toe.
I thought his foot, when I was watching it, I thought his foot snapped in half.
No, it's a
Like,
toe
it was-
injury. He
it was
literally,
gross.
one of the linemen stepped on his baby foot pinky toe.
That is not what happened.
And he is a Hollywood playboy.
That
And
is not what happened.
I'm just telling you.
I watched the game, and it looked like his foot snapped
That
in
was
half.
bad, but he was fine. But when he stood up, the ref accidentally stepped on his toe, and that's when he actually got, quote-unquote, injured.
Fake news.
Yeah, right, fake news. The Cardinals are terrible. Have made the Broncos look like the Broncos defense of old. 2 defensive touchdowns.
Yep.
Pretty crazy. I just want to say, outside of the Cardinals being bad, how are you, as much as I shit on my own team, the Chicago Bears, if my football team was rebuilding, draft a franchise quarterback, bring in a new coach, they built it from top to bottom, rebuilt. And you're 7 weeks in, and you have to fire your offensive coordinator? That is a huge, huge red flag in terms. I don't know who the GM is there.
Steve
but
Keim.
that is big time. Is that the drunk guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, big dumb drunk idiot. So I'd rather you get another DUI than you have an offensive coordinator who gets fired 7 weeks into the season, pal. That's terrible. And Mike McCoy, you should retire from the NFL. Go be on ESPN, like, what was it, Miller, the Lions' old coach. After he went 0-16, he went on ESPN. He was there for a couple years. And then Matt Miller. Then went back into the league.
Matt
Millen, that's who it is. Do the same thing, because Mike McCoy, I remember friggin' for a long time there, he was like the next big guy there after the Chargers, right? He's the OC for the Chargers.
With,
Denver, and just a train wreck. Absolute train wreck. I still hate both of these teams. The other part I want to add in, our boy, friend of the show, Mr. Irrelevant himself, from Ole Miss. I'm going to blank on the name now. Thank you, Chad Kelly, arrested for, it sounds like accidentally, drunkenly breaking into a house.
So
there's no alcohol in his system.
Yeah, so there's more to the report.
Oh, no.
He had no alcohol in his system,
That's
and when he was talking, he was mumbling and slurring his words. But I was reading more and more
Cocaine's a
into
hell of
it.
a drug, boy.
So I was reading more and more into it, and there was a report that came out that said that he walked into the house, sat on the couch, as the lady was sitting on the couch already, and was just sitting there. Didn't do anything, just sat there. The husband came out with a piece to a vacuum, like a plastic piece with metal on the end, and started beating the shit out of Chad Kelly. That's when Chad Kelly ran out of the house and left. That's when the cops were called, and then he got arrested.
He was
So he was high on something,
I'm gonna
and
blame
then got
it
beat
on
by
bath
a
salts.
vacuum part.
Bath
so.
salts and GMOs.
And
That's
it
what I'm
was
blaming it
it was a cowboy Halloween party
Yeah.
at Von Miller's house.
on. Cowboy Halloween.
Western
Cowboy themed Halloween party at Von Miller's house. He was sitting there in jeans, a leather vest with a scarf around his neck. Like, dude, you can't make this shit up.
Who's could you have more? Their first string guy is Case Keenum, who I feel like is extremely straight edge.
Yeah.
I feel like Case Keenum is probably like Mormon. He didn't go to the party. His mom said he couldn't, so he stayed at home.
So there was another thing that I was reading, and it was just a very funny tweet, and it goes, call 911. Yes, please, this is Case Keenum. I mean, a resident of this house, and there is somebody running around. I was dying
That's
laughing.
a good fan theory. That's what I want to add to this show. Fan theories. Case Keenum planted one Kelly on the scene.
Maybe he roofied him.
I'm saying, roofied him, put him on the scene.
But that is very interesting that he had no alcohol in his system, and he was slurring and mumbling his words. I don't know. Somebody's going to pop for a drug
Cocaine's
test.
a hell of a drug. He's definitely cut. He'll never be in the NFL ever again.
We'll see. We'll see if he
Never.
gets cut.
Never.
No.
Never.
Next up, we have the Tennessee Titans at the LA Chargers. And when I say LA, it's not really LA.
Well, because it was in England.
Exactly.
My couple of things coming out of this game is they should not play games in England ever again. I hate them so much every year. I'm starting to hate them more and more. Like the one year my team was there, it was kind of cool, but it does nothing. You can tell the players don't really want to be there. The big time players, Melvin Gordon, he was quote unquote injured. I don't buy that. Is it time for an extra
You
bye
think he
week?
just didn't want to play?
For sure. I do.
You have like the weirdest takes.
I do.
Why would he
theory.
just not want to play?
Fan theory.
I'm not saying
He's just coming off a 3 touchdown
I'm not
game.
saying he wasn't hurt.
Saying,
I'm not saying he wasn't hurt. I'm not saying he wasn't hurt. I'm saying, you know what? He's hurt. Then you take that flight. When you're on long flights like that, especially when you have bruises and stuff, they swell up. They get even more uncomfortable. If this was a quote-unquote playoff game as year all the time, he would have played. But with the way that, with the circumstances, because it was such a stupid situation, he didn't play. There's no point in risking it, especially with the bye week. Give him 2 weeks off to be healthy and give a strong push to the end of the year. This is a playoff team.
I disagree.
Fan theory number 2 does not hold up.
I feel like if he could have played, he probably would have. It's not like the Tennessee Titans are a terrible football team. They're 3-3, and the Chargers have a chance to go 5-2 with a win. I think they'd want one of their best players on the field, and I feel like if he could have went, he would have gone.
Tom, I'm gonna ask you before Josh talks. If this was a wild card weekend game in Tennessee, do we see Melvin Gordon on the field?
He probably would have played.
Absolutely, we would have.
Philip Rivers played a playoff game with a torn ACL.
Yeah.
When it's playoffs,
who's the guy? Someone just played with a broken neck.
Yeah.
We see. That's more of my point. In a game that matters, in a game of importance,
it doesn't matter though. But
you just proved that it doesn't. If you say that he would play in Tennessee for a playoff game, but not here, that proves my point exactly. In a game that matters, he would play. With the bye week next week, and I'm not saying he's not injured or not hurt, but he's not injured.
Tim, what were your thoughts on the play calling by the Titans at the end of the game, deciding to go for 2?
I've not been an advocate of it. Okay, I have not been. I know I've bashed. I bashed the Colts for it a little bit. I bashed a couple different teams for it. I know this is the new thing in the NFL. This is the new analytic game. It is what it is. We saw the Sunday night game. The Giants did the same. Pat Shurmur did the same exact thing. Going for 2. It is what it is. I don't know. I don't like it. I think you play. You go for overtime. I don't know. I feel like a lot of these teams have looked at what's the Eagles head coach name?
Doug Peterson.
Thank you, Doug Peterson, and some of the ballsy moves that he made last year, and think, okay, this is how we get ahead. But you don't see the other side of that, where when you don't succeed, you look like an absolute idiot. Listen, it potentially could have cost the Titans to being an over 500 team right now. It's a big gamble, and I think at this point in the season, it's not a gamble that you take.
I'm a fan of the move. I like Vrabel going for this. It's the second time he's done it. The first time kind of paid off. But yeah, statistically and mathematically, it's been proven that if you do go for 2 more often, you do go for it on 4th down more often, it will down the road be more successful than not.
So
doing that.
I won't argue that, but I read it as, and this goes back to my gambling side, right? I think of it like blackjack. Okay. Either you hit on 16 or you don't. You either go for 2 or you don't. There's not because, hey, we're not going to go for 2 ever, but now that the game's on the line, we're going to. Hey, we don't go for 4th down really ever, but now randomly in the 3rd quarter when we think we have a shot, now we're going to go for it. Pick one or the other. I agree with you. I understand what the statistics say, but I wonder what the statistics say about teams that randomly go for it on 4th down. Randomly go for it on 2-point conversion. That's more of what my concern is, because that's what the direction of the league seems to be going.
Yeah.
The one takeaway that I got from this is Philip Rivers. I still think with this game here, he's still going to be in contention with Patrick Mahomes for an MVP run if they go on a tear at the end of the season.
It's all about the wins.
Yeah, they really need the Chargers and Patrick Mahomes not to lose a couple games coming down. But if you do look at it, Philip Rivers is number 3 in touchdown passes with 17, only 3 interceptions. Number 1 overall in his quarterback passer rating, which is 117.8, which is above Patrick Mahomes. And then his passing yards is top 8 right now, and he has only 10 less completions than Patrick Mahomes. His percentage is higher, right at a 69.1%. The only person really beating him is Drew Brees, which is at a phenomenal 77%, and Matt Ryan at a 71%. So I still think that there's definitely a possibility that we may see Philip Rivers make a run for an MVP. It'll be very interesting to see how it all shakes out at the end, though. I think he will not get it eventually, but I think it'll be pretty close. Moving on, we have the Bills at the Colts. Colts win this game 37-5. If you would have told me Andy Luck would have thrown the ball for 4 touchdowns, but under 175 yards, I would have said absolutely not. But Marlon Mack, he had 126 yards rushing the ball, Also 33 yards receiving the ball and a touchdown in each of those categories. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, the Colts offensive line is starting to gel. That's what this game really showed me. Because we've seen this Bills team, what they've been able to do against the Vikings, what they've been able to do against the Texans, against the Packers. All three of those teams, high-powered offenses, and all three of those teams struggled. And the Colts come out here able to run the football, and they dropped 37 on the Bills.
Yeah.
No one has been able to do that to this football team. I totally get Derek Anderson. Pretty much came off the streets and was the quarterback. But this is a big-time Colts win.
I want to know how they decided on that.
Pretty much what I saw is the vets came in and said if you start Peterman, you're losing the team.
Really?
To McDermott.
Wow.
But if I'm a coach and I hear that, like, why is even Peterman on your football team?
I was thinking the same thing.
Makes no sense.
I'm so tired of hearing about this in the NFL, losing your lot. Like, this is where I...
Well, I mean, the Cardinals
It is
have already
something.
lost their locker room.
Well,
Patrick Peterson's requesting a trade to go to the Saints,
I
right?
get that, but my point is, like, this is where I miss the Tom Coughlins of the world. Like, this is where, these are still grown men. I get it. It's not like college football. You can't be around. Like, you have to have structure. It can't be the inmates leading the asylum here. You're the Buffalo damn Bills. You're 2-5. Figure your shit out. Who are your leaders in the locker room? Who are the guys that are going to at least give you some sort of life? Lean on, I get that it's tough this year. Shady McCoy's going through some shit off the field, whether it's real or whether it's not. Kelvin Benjamin's not a real person as much as he wants to be. Your young quarterback, just got hurt. Nathan Peterman comes in. I saw something that in order to get to a positive rating or something like that, or positive... He would have to throw like 990 something passes without an interception. Like something ridiculous. This is a bad team. But get a coach who can handle it then. You're in Buffalo. You got people fingering buttholes and power bombing each other through fire tables. Like, figure it out.
I think McDermott's a good coach. He took that team last year to the playoffs, which they weren't expecting that. I think they were trying to tank, but they found ways to win football games and kind of screwed themselves with their draft picks. But I think McDermott's a good coach. They play good, solid defense. They're definitely just missing it on the offensive side of the ball, and it didn't help. 3 plays into the game, Shady McCoy was out.
Exactly. So, moving on, New England Patriots at the Chicago Bears. Patriots win this game 38-31. The Bears lose this on a Hail Mary. And honestly, it was a pretty good throw because he was on his back foot. He's getting pressured. He gets hit in the face, and he still had enough arm strength to throw it right in front of the end zone. So I hear a lot of people talking about how it wasn't in the end zone. He didn't have enough arm strength. He was on his back foot. He was getting pressured in the face.
Tom, you go first.
I'm not going to put all the blame on that. And honestly, a lot of times when the ball isn't in the end zone, we don't see it caught a lot. So I'm fine with where the ball ended up going, but of all people, Kevin White was the one that catch the ball, turn around, try to power his way into the end zone, and gets stopped at the 1-yard line. Catches the ball on the 2, gets stopped on the 1. The Bears lose this game in heartbreaking fashion. But Mitchell Trubisky, at one point in time, did have a 39-yard rush, and it was very impressive. He ran backwards like 20 yards.
And then he got looped around.
Ran backwards 20 yards and zigzagged his way and scored. It was pretty impressive.
I'm pretty sure that was the 8-yard touchdown run.
Is that what it was?
The
8
full
yards?
length was like 39 yards,
Okay.
but officially it was only 8 yards.
Well, it was probably about 30 yards
Yep.
total that he ran because he
Yep,
ran 20
it
yards
was.
backwards.
It was something like that. Go ahead, Tom.
For me personally, I thought the Patriots were going to kill the Bears in this football game. 2 weeks ago, technically a week ago, the Patriots played the Chiefs, so you got Matt Nagy playing the Patriots, so you got an Andy Reid and then an Andy Reid disciple. I thought that was a big-time advantage for Bill Belichick and that defense in general. So the Bears coming out and getting that early lead was a bit of a shock for me. The Patriots had that special teams touchdown. I think they had two of them, or a defensive and a special teams touchdown. So that was pretty much the difference in this football game. Sony Michel going out early in this football game also
like a horrific injury.
It looked super bad. They're saying it's week to week. We'll see how long it takes, but I think that changed the way the Patriots wanted to play this football game. It seemed like they really wanted to establish that run and kind of just pound the Bears into submission, especially with Mac. Did he even play, or is he limited?
He was limited. He played quite.
He was playing a lot of more outside linebacker.
He played a majority of those big late, like fourth quarter downs.
I know Allen Robinson was limited. He didn't.
Allen Robinson did not play much.
Do much. I think he had one catch, but the Bears. If you're a Bears fan, I think you have to be happy with the performance. You lose by 7. You were 1 yard away from winning this football game. But Trubisky. Look, he's putting up great stats right now. Those rushing yards are fantastic. But he was 26 of 50 in this football game. It's not what you want to see. He's still a young quarterback, but I feel like he's getting better.
So, a couple of things. Number one, for all the Trubisky haters, which I'm leading that bandwagon, okay? Mitchell Trubisky, that first half was horrendous. He was terrible. If anyone who watched that game, he consistently overthrew and underthrew wide receivers.
It was pretty much rushing yards.
It was
kept them
awful. Rushing is the only thing that kept it, and which is the reason why the Bears brought him in. They liked his mobility. That's great. As a passing quarterback, he was terrible. The only that last pass is what put him over the 300-yard mark. That I'll leave Mitchell Trubisky alone. That's not where my beef is. The Chicago Bears fans, in terms of diehard fans in this league, right? They have fallen down to the third worst fan base in this league. Buffalo Bills are number 1 because of their stupidity. Philadelphia Eagles are number 2 because they're all trash bags. And the Chicago Bears are number 3 because they're idiots. All you hear is how Mitchell Trubisky did this and he did that. That last throw was amazing. Hand in his face off the back leg, and he still threw it dead on, right where he needed to put it. Kevin White. How is your first idea not to extend the ball? All you have to do is cross that goal line. That's it. Put your hands out. I get there's people there. Put your hands out, and it's a touchdown. We have a tie game. With that said, this game was not close. 38-24, and then Mitchell Trubisky had a great drive. That's what it was. The Bears didn't get a stop, so then it got down to the 40-second mark. If they would have got a stop the first time, they would have had about 2 minutes left to go and make a late drive. The Chicago Bears, who pride themselves on defense, have gotten torched the last 2 weeks. Absolutely torched. And it's because that secondary is not very good. I know Kyle Fuller had another interception. Good for him. It was a tip. It was a weird play. But they're getting torched out there. They had 1 sack last week, I believe. Roquan Smith, I think, had a sack last week. 1 in the last 2 weeks after their huge first 3 weeks. Listen, and then beyond that, there's special teams. A punt block return for a touchdown, and a Cordarrelle Patterson kick return for a touchdown. That's the difference in this game. Special teams. Not a very good game.
Tim, currently, I'm of the belief that the Bears are only an elite defense when Khalil Mack is playing like Defensive Player of the Year. Do you agree with that?
I do. Roquan Smith, I think, is doing a great job as a rookie. I'll tell you who needs to step up right now is Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd with a all-pro, consistent Pro Bowl, potential Hall of Fame linebacker, edge rusher, whatever you want to call Khalil Mack on the other end. I don't care if your hand was hurt and you had a club on your hand. You've had the last 2 weeks by yourself. For you to not to even be a presence, for the teams not even to have a concern about you is not right. Step up or let someone else play. That defense, that front 7 is too good to only have. They lead their top 7, I think, in QB pressures over the last 2 weeks, and still only have 1 sack. That's not okay. Brock Osweiler should not do that to you coming off of a bye. You should be happy I was not here last week because I was fired up after getting embarrassed letting Brock Osweiler put up that type of numbers on you. You should be embarrassed. You came out this week, and even after Sony Michel goes down, they let James White destroy them. James White and the special teams destroyed them. I don't get it. No Gronk, and you want this to be a moral victory for the Bears? Get the hell out of here. 3-3. Look at their schedule. This team will be lucky to be 500.
Moving on, we have the Cleveland Browns at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tom, that's not a hot take. If you look at their schedule, you find me five more guaranteed wins.
Cleveland Browns lose this game 23-26, yet another overtime game. Buccaneers win.
Yeah, there's starting to be some rumors coming out of Cleveland that Hugh Jackson might not make it past the bye, which I totally get. They have Todd Haley in there at offensive coordinator who has some head coaching experience. He's been around the league a lot. This team, though, they just seem to keep shooting themselves in the foot. I think there's a chance they're a top 12 most talented team on paper. They are continually in these late games, in their overtime games. This is their third or fourth overtime game of the season, which seems like it's almost unheard of. But I give props to the Bucs. They're kind of another franchise right now that just always seems to shoot themselves in the foot late. I really thought Cleveland was going to pull this one out. But Jameis Winston, he had 2 interceptions in this football game, had that rushing touchdown, but was able to move the football against a very tough Cleveland Browns defense. Big-time props to the W. Eaton. I can't say that.
You can't say W. Eaton?
No, I was going to say... Never mind.
You can't see it. You can't see it.
But Jameis, big-time win for him. He needed that.
I love this game because when I saw the line going across the bottom, I saw it was 3-2 at one point. I love when games are like that in the National Football League. Makes me laugh.
4 overtime games.
I just
nuts. 7 games.
I love what Baker's bringing to this team. Hugh Jackson should be fired. He 100% should be fired. He should have been fired. He shouldn't have even been the coach this year because now Baker's going to have to relearn a new offense going into next year. Not that he can't, but it's still not the best case scenario. Let a real coach come. Hugh Jackson's just terrible. I get that they're being more competitive. I get all that, but they potentially have. I truly believe that defense has the potential to be better than the Bears defense outside of the Khalil Mack factor for the Bears. They're very, very good all around. They have a good secondary. They have a good pass rush. They have a good run defense. I like the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield. Hey, I'll give you guys credit where it's due. Giving that swagger to the Browns. I loved the poor bastard. I actually did feel bad for him. His reaction when that kick went in was a 59-yarder or something like that.
Catanzaro.
He could not believe it. His heart broke. I felt bad for him. Buccaneers are a bad football team. How they're 3-3, I don't really know, but I digress.
Imagine if the Browns had a receiver who could stretch the field and add to Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, like a Josh Gordon. Imagine how this offense would look.
Him, right?
God.
Yeah, all the rumors that I've been reading on the 2019 draft are that the Browns are going to take a wide receiver early, and
they need one.
There's going to be, you know what?
It's a good wide receiver class.
There's going to be like 4 or 5. I don't want to say 4 or 5. There'll probably be 3 wide receivers taken in the first round. Because you know what? It's not really good with running backs this year. I think this is finally a year that we're going to see some wide receivers go in the first round and a lot of offensive linemen.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on, we have the Detroit Lions and the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins lose this game 21-32. And you know what? Matthew Stafford only threw the ball 22 times for 217 yards. Kerryon Johnson, 19 carries. They finally decide to give this guy more carries than LeGarrette Blount, and he turns out 158 yards on the ground.
He's averaging almost 7 yards a rush right now, leading the rookies in the NFL right now in rushing yards. He's been a fantastic addition. I'm glad that the Lions are focusing on running the football. They've spent big-time money, spent big-time picks on fixing that offensive line, finally doing that. It was a big win for the Lions and who they really think they are as a football team and who Matt Patricia wants this football team to be in the future.
Listen, this is exactly why I was high on Kerryon Johnson going into the season because I thought that Matt Patricia would do just that. He would run the football. Props to him. Feel bad for Adam Gase. Rumor is there that he's lost the locker room a bit there. So I don't know what the Dolphins are going to do, especially with who's Wilson, or what's the wide receiver that torched the Bears?
Albert Wilson.
Thank you, yeah, Albert Wilson.
He's out.
He's hurt.
Kenny Stills is out.
Yeah,
Kenny Stills ran over like an 80-year-old woman.
Yeah,
security guard.
Yeah. Devontae Parker's still not right. Things aren't good there. So I expect after Hugh Jackson, I don't think Adam Gase is too far behind. In all honesty,
and they're 4-3.
Yeah, but it's shocking.
Next game, we have the Minnesota Vikings, 37, beating up on the Jets. They only scored 17. Big thing to take away from this game, though, is one Mr. Adam Thielen. 9 catches, 110 yards, 1 touchdown on 10 targets.
Adam Thielen just keeps getting it done. He's had an amazing start to the season. He's pretty much been a game changer in fantasy football this year. If you have him, you're probably doing very well. Kirk Cousins, he had a pretty solid game. They had a couple late touchdowns by Latavius Murray that made this game look like that it was truly out of hand, but it was, I think, a lot closer than the scoreboard really looked like. The Vikings, they needed to keep winning. They're now 3-0 when Kirk Cousins delivers a pregame speech.
I am much higher on the Jets than I think a lot of people are. Sam Darnold, in all honesty, has been a little bit better than I thought he'd be. I told you guys that he'd have more interceptions than touchdowns year one. It looks like he might actually be a little bit better than that. He might be closer to that even mark or slightly better. He's working on not making mistakes and letting that defense that is pretty damn good. In all honesty, the Vikings, it was very close at halftime, and it wasn't until, like you said, those late touchdowns that made it seem like it wasn't really a game, but it was a game throughout. So, Adam Thielen stuff, just ridiculous, absolutely absurd what he's been able to do through 7 weeks.
Jets just need to put more playmakers around Sam Darnold.
Another team that'll be looking for a big time wide receiver.
Yep.
Sam Darnold, he has how many touchdowns do he have on the year?
9.
I think it's like 9-7 or something like that.
He's got 10 touchdowns right now. How many interceptions does he have?
12.
I think it's like 7 or 8.
He has 10 interceptions right now. 10 and 10.
10 and 10, so
with completion percentage of a 56.1.
So, hey, you mentioned it. No weapons really around him. The best weapons on that team are the running backs.
Yeah.
And with Powell out last week, it explains their struggles.
Yep.
Or no, he wasn't out, but it got hurt, didn't he?
Was
yeah,
he?
yeah, pretty sure he got hurt during the game last week.
Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Panthers win this game 21-17. In my opinion, you just don't know which Panthers team you're going to get from week to week.
You don't know what Eagles team you're going to get either.
It's a crapshoot from here on out. Who knows what they're going to do?
Panthers are a resilient bunch. Scored 21 points in the fourth quarter to, in my eyes, upset the Eagles.
All their points.
Yeah, all their points in the fourth quarter. Eagles were up 17-0 going into the fourth. If you're an Eagles fan, you got to be worried. But, you just won a Super Bowl. It's hard to stay on top, remain on top like what the Patriots have been able to do.
Can I ask you, what is more shocking, that they put up 21 points in the fourth quarter, or that the Eagles gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter?
For me, it's the Eagles giving up 21 in the fourth. Especially they're at home. That defense has been a lot better at home. That pass rush has really been able to feast at home. And Cam, it looked like that's how the game was going. I thought this was going to end up a blowout. But Cam was able to move the football. Those rushing yards helped. Big time shock for me that the Eagles lost like this at home.
Oh, monster shock. I don't know what has happened to this Eagles defense. Last year, very intimidating, stout at times, very impressive, and it's just kind of fallen off big time. I don't know what the difference is here. I don't know if they're tired from a long postseason run last year or what, but 21 points at home. Honestly, this is the only thing that made me feel better about my loss last week, is that the trash bag Eagles fans had to watch the Panthers put up 21 and beat their Eagles at Lincoln Financial. Is that still what it's called? I don't think so. What?
I think so. The Link.
The Link, yeah. What a stupid name.
Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
The Jaguars loses game 7-20. Blake Bortles gets benched. Cody Kessler comes in, throws 156, a touchdown, interception, took 4 sacks. The Jags traded for Carlos Hyde, Leonard Fournette. Who knows what's going to happen there? I don't know what to think of this team anymore.
Hey, all I will say is I'm proud of Doug Marrone. Doug Marrone came out and he said, does this mean that Blake Bortles is benched for the rest of the season? Who's going to be your quarterback? And he said, I would have benched all 11 of them if I could because they all sucked. That's his exact words. But I couldn't. So, you know what? The quarterback's the one who had to take the hit there to try to re-energize the team. Outside of that, it's the defense. This defense, this was a trash-talking defense that we're going to win a Super Bowl that in the AFC Championship game last year. We're the reason we're going to be there. We're going to put... It's not happening. It's just not happening. They're not who they used to be. That swagger is not necessarily there. And they're a 3-4 team. And these are the type of games, even more so than other games, just at home against a team that's struggling. Deshaun Watson had to take a damn bus there because he couldn't fly because he was so hurt. But he still played and they got the win. I don't know what the Jaguars are going to do. I like what Doug Marrone's attitude is though for this season. I think Doug Marrone should hopefully he gets this team to turn around.
It's crazy the ups and downs of an NFL season. Jaguars started 2-0 in the year, second win coming against the Patriots, and then they go 1-4 in their next 5 football games. That's what happens when you have an inconsistent quarterback like Blake Bortles. He fumbled on the 3rd play of the first half. He fumbled on the 3rd play in the second half, and then got benched for Cody Kessler. This team could not move the football consistently. The Texans have a pretty good defense this year, but we've seen them get torched by a couple of good quarterbacks. I don't think Blake Bortles is that. He's one of the most bipolar players in the NFL. Big time win for the Texans. They started 0-3. They're now 4-3 and complete control of the AFC South.
I'm not gonna defend Blake Bortles. All I will say is, throughout time, you see with quarterbacks like Blake Bortles, when are they successful? When they have a great defense, which the Jaguars, I still believe, have, and when they have a running game. Jaguars don't have a running game with Leonard Fournette out. That's why they brought in Carlos Hyde, but they're not setting him up to succeed on the offensive side of the ball. That's just who he is. That's his identity. They know that. And they're stuck with him. I know I heard rumors of, are they going to cut him? They owe him it's like a $17 million cap hit next year. If they
might even be more than that. I think it's like $20 million.
I think 17 is the number. So they're stuck with him. He's gonna be there. Doesn't mean he's gonna be starting, but he's gonna be on the team.
Moving on, we have the Saints at the Ravens. The Saints win this game 24-23.
One of my favorite games of the day. You saw a juggernaut offense going on the road, outdoors, something they're not used to, facing a juggernaut defense with the Baltimore Ravens. It was a very good football game, and it was decided by something that has never happened before. Justin Tucker missing an extra point, which is absolutely crazy. The look on his face once he missed that was amazing. It was worth a lot of money right there. Love Justin Tucker. That win there, the win on the East Coast this week was absolutely nuts, and kind of nuts to see a game end like that. They completely jinxed him, the announcers. Pretty much said, he's never missed one. This one's going to overtime. Then he missed it.
Yeah, and I at least I like situations like this. I like when you see a team back them. They know what Justin Tucker's meant to this team. He's made a lot of big kicks for them. It happens. Unfortunately, things happen, and not good.
That Blake Bortles contract, I looked it up real quick. It is for 2019. A cap hit of $21 million.
Dead cap
of $16.5 million. The dead cap for this year would have been $26.5. That's crazy. But he's owed, $16 million next year? That's...
Most likely he'll be gone. Well, there's a chance he's gone 2020.
Dead cap hit in 2020 is $5 million.
Yikes.
And really, it's not a terrible quarterback contract.
No,
it's not all.
Like, look, Joe Flacco got paid a lot more than he should have.
Joe Flacco's won a Super Bowl.
Exactly. But I think they're on the same level.
One thing I wanted to ask you guys about the Saints' backfield is Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. Kamara had 64 yards on 17 carries and a touchdown. Mark Ingram had 12 carries with 32 yards. Taysom Hill, backup quarterback, 6 carries for 35 yards. What hurts Alvin Kamara's fantasy production more? Is it Mark Ingram or is it this Taysom Hill character?
It's a mixture of both. Because, well, obviously they like using Hill in the red zone as well. Same with Ingram. So there goes a lot of rushing touchdown opportunities. I think he's still set in the receiving game department. But people still expecting those 30-point outbursts. Might have one more of those, not 3 in the first 4 games of the year.
I think it's the combination. I mean, listen, what are the Saints going to do when they get there on, within the 10-yard line, right? They're going to have Michael Thomas out one way, Alvin Kamara out the other, Hill in the backfield with Mark Ingram. And then the tight end thrown in there somewhere in the mix. So teams really don't know what the Saints are going to do. It just adds the quote-unquote more mouths to feed for the Saints, and I think it's a combination. So yeah, definitely, those goal line scores for Alvin Kamara, not what they used to be.
Did you see that stat line for John Brown?
I did. John Brown, your boy.
Great game.
He's been fantastic.
Next up, Cowboys lose 17-20 to the Redskins. Redskins scored 20 points. Adrian Peterson 1 yard shy of 100. Capri Bibbs, of all people, 4 receptions, 43 yards and a touchdown. Backup running back, obviously. They're hurt in there in the wide receiver department. Cowboys kind of let this game get away from them late in the game. And Zeke, not a very productive game rushing the ball. But obviously I think we can all agree that the wide receiver department for the Dallas Cowboys is not very good. But they did end up making a trade the past couple of days.
So
really, all I'd say about this game is the officiating was terrible. That call on the snapper play before the final kick was absolutely horrendous. Redskins got handed this game. That's all I'm saying.
I wouldn't say they got handed this game.
Yeah,
But listen,
there was like 8 bad calls.
yeah,
in the
but
fourth
the
quarter against
Cowboys, the Cowboys had their opportunities and they didn't follow through. Washington's rush defense has been phenomenal this year. Their running defense has been very, very good, and I honestly think the reason why Jerry Jones, Tom, you mentioned it in our text thread, earlier in the week, that, hey, Jerry Jones has canceled all of his radio interviews, blah, blah, blah. He's going to make a trade. This was before the Amari trade. I think the second he saw Zeke drop back in pass coverage and the Redskins rush and literally threw Ezekiel Elliott 5 yards into the backfield, let Jerry Jones know, hey, we are not doing our jobs of making any sort of a threat whatsoever in the passing game / rushing games. Teams know how to play us, and especially a division rival like this, I would expect the teams like the Eagles to do the same exact thing. So we'll see how the Cowboys rebound. They got their bye this week. Time to reassess, reevaluate. But big win for the Redskins. 4-2. Cannot believe it. Nothing.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, moving on. We have the Rams at the 49ers. Rams win this game 39-10. Jared Goff, 2 touchdowns, only 220 yards passing. Todd Gurley, 15 rushes, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also has 23 yards receiving and a touchdown. Basically, it's unfair if you have Todd Gurley on your fantasy team.
Malcolm Brown was the leading rusher of this football game. Absolutely crazy. If you just looked at the box score, saw that, you'd have expected Todd Gurley to be hurt. But no, the Rams were just beating the crap out of the Niners the whole game. They let Malcolm Brown get some reps, and he looked pretty good. So if you're a Todd Gurley owner, pick up Malcolm Brown because you know he's going to be able to produce in this offense if Gurley goes down.
Especially think about this, too. If you're in fantasy, the Rams right now are sitting at 7-0.
Yeah.
Probably week 16, which is your championship game.
It might be week 15.
He might not be playing.
Who's got the stones to play a Malcolm Brown? Who's got him?
If it was me, and it got to week 16, and you're in the championship game, you might have to consider putting in Malcolm Brown.
Bigger
if Todd Gurley's not going to play.
Bigger surprise for you, Malcolm Brown or Mostert?
Malcolm Brown probably.
Yeah. I don't know. If I was a Gurley owner right now, I'd probably try to trade him for Barkley and someone else.
Dang.
Because look, they're probably going to have 12 to 13 wins by week 14 is my guess. This team's phenomenal.
They still got to play the Bears, bro.
Yeah, okay. They're a great football team.
You're not going to have him in your championship game.
Yeah, I just don't think that's... Even if you do have him, he's going to be limited. They're not going to use and abuse him. The only good thing is McShay knows how running backs think. He knows that they want to score touchdowns even if they're not piling on the yards. And he's given Gurley every opportunity to find that end zone, even on a limited amount of touches.
True story.
Bengals and the Chiefs. Chiefs win this game 45-10 in a blowout. I really thought Andy Dalton was going to have a better game than this. Apparently not so much, though. But Patrick Mahomes, 358 and 4 touchdowns. The kid, like we said before, is super impressive. But Kareem Hunt had a big day on the ground, 15 for 86 and a touchdown, catching the ball 5 times for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, listen, Patrick Mahomes had a dirty day, continues his just absurd season. But this was Kareem Hunt's day. Kareem Hunt, that run that you're seeing over and over, it's on every highlight reel.
The hurdle and then stick.
Well, not even before the hurdle even. He runs into the pack and then pulls like the Le'Veon Bell where he essentially just stopped. And I don't think he did because you can't see him, but it seemed like he moved backwards a little bit and then just burst through the pile, hurdled the guy. I mean, absolutely dirty. Just showed how just ridiculous this Chiefs offense is. So many weapons. This team, especially with the bye, I mean, potentially only having to go through one other team's home field in the playoffs is so scary. The Chiefs are right now my AFC champions. I don't see how anyone, they don't even have a defense. Their defense has struggled, and it doesn't matter. Patrick Mahomes, I've never been more wrong about anything in my life than I was about Patrick Mahomes.
What's crazy, it's probably a 2-horse race right now in the AFC. And I'd probably say they're the best team in the AFC, but they lost to their competition already.
It's fine, but and I don't believe in moral victories. But when you watch that, it was like, all right, cool. Yeah, we did it. They went into their house, right? They kept it close. They put up numbers. And the Patriots did what they did. Cool. It was like that weird, eerie feeling of hey, yeah, you got us, but we held something back and we'll get you next time type of deal. Who knows? Playoffs are completely different. I get that. But there was just something eerie about that post game. How many times, I don't know if we even talked about it, Tom Brady, I don't know if you saw it. I don't buy into a lot of that stuff, but literally rushed off of his sideline, ran across the field to shake hands and talk to Patrick Mahomes. It was weird for me to see. Half the time you just see Brady turn and go to his locker room. He doesn't talk to anyone, or he just goes and does his pretty boy stuff to the on-field reporter. Everything's just, there's something weird about the Chiefs this year. A lot of weapons. They remind me a lot of the Rams, but with a Brett Favre at quarterback. It's a scary, scary team.
Last game on the week, Monday night game, the Giants go to the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons win this game 23-20. Pretty much a must-win for both of these teams. And it was very close at the end. We did see the Giants go for 2 on a touchdown that they had. OBJ dropped the ball. I don't care what anybody says. He did drop the ball.
I agree.
But Sterling Shepard, big day, 167 yards receiving. OBJ, 143 and a touchdown. Saquon, 14 for 43 and a touchdown. Catching the ball 9 times out of the backfield. That is freaking outrageous. But if I have to listen to these announcers talk about the size of his thighs anymore, I just don't know what I'm going to do. They every single game just blows my mind. But the Falcons do win, pull out the win late.
The Monday Night Crew is pretty bad. Don't really enjoy having the sound on to Monday Night Football anymore.
I just listen to the radio.
Yeah. This game, like, kind of weird. Like, even going into the third quarter, they were just stroking Matt Ryan off, saying how elite he is. Yet they were only up 13-3 or 10-3 against the Giants, and you're saying how elite this guy is. Matt Ryan is putting up great numbers this year. He is playing very good football, but a true elite quarterback against a Giants team like this should be blowing them out going into the third quarter. Should not only beat them by 3 points in my eyes, but this game is all about Eli Manning not being an NFL quarterback anymore. Yeah, he put up good numbers, but anyone should be able to put good numbers up against a Falcons team that has 5 second stringers playing or starting for this football team. Hopefully they lose out. Hopefully they get the first pick. And if they can get like a Herbert in there, pair him up with OBJ, Saquon, Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, talk about the ideal situation for a quarterback and talk about pretty much what Patrick Mahomes has in Kansas City for a rookie quarterback. It's not a better spot.
I've talked numerous times about when I've been wrong. The Giants are where I was absolutely right. I agreed that the Saquon was the sexy pick, but I said that they had to take a quarterback, no matter was it Darnold or
Baker, Rosen.
Not Baker, Rosen. Thank you. Whoever it was, take someone. You need a quarterback. They didn't. I want to talk a little bit. Tom Pelissero, I believe with the NFL Network, posted a thing. I sent it to you guys about the Giants going for 2 like that, because everyone criticized that, which I thought was crazy. Because if they want to criticize anything, criticize the way that the Giants did the onside kick at the end of the game, which I thought was just.
No,
Eli's 2 sneaks.
Yeah,
That too.
what you
That
should
as well.
what you should criticize is the way that how they managed the time at the end of the game. And when I say they managed the time, it's how Eli managed the time, because he, of all people, should know better. It wasn't the coach making the decision.
No.
It wasn't somebody relaying in, hey, do 2 quarterbacks sneaks. That was all on Eli Manning on what he was doing.
Yeah, he was the veteran player. But Tom Pelissero put out there, when Doug Peterson went for 2 when they were down 8 a couple weeks ago, analytics people inside the NFL rejoiced. I was told that multiple other teams' charts said to do the same thing. Now we know the Giants were among them. Worst case, try for 2 again to tie. Best case, touchdown an extra point wins the next drive. So that's where these teams are coming from. Like you said, I'm not going to hate on it anymore. This is the thought process for everyone in the NFL.
Is it crazy to think, for me personally, for the Giants, look, for me, I feel like the GM, the ownership, thought they probably wouldn't be too good this year. Probably thought they'd have an early pick next year, and that's why they went with Saquon, because they didn't believe this quarterback class was that good.
Which is obnoxious.
I really don't think it is.
I don't think it's the best quarterback class.
If they think Herbert, like, let's say there's 2 quarterbacks they had graded in the next year's draft were better than the ones in this year, I think that's a great pick for them.
Yeah, if they have Herbert or Drew Lock or Will Greer or any of these other quarterbacks graded out higher than Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold, and they had Saquon Barkley up there as well, then I'm not going to fault them, because they're not going to get a Saquon Barkley at pick number 2 this year. There's no way.
I agree with you.
The best that you're going to get, an offensive line.
I agree with you, but I from what I've seen so far, and it's not been in depth yet as it was last year. Last year there were, and hell, we're seeing it. There's four starters, I believe, right now in the NFL who are rookies. 4 or 3, regardless.
4.
Josh Allen just got hurt.
So 4. That talent is not there this year. That talent is, you're not going to have a rookie quarterback who is going, and especially with Eli Manning's age, you see it this year. If you had a rookie quarterback, if you had any of even if you had a Lamar Jackson, I don't care. Not that I would ever take him where they were. Behind Eli, with Eli playing this bad, it's okay. We have a future. We have something. It has been proven over and over and over in the NFL. Running backs can be a dime a dozen. I just don't see, now going into next year, best case scenario, you have a quarterback who, none of these guys are highly rated. None of these guys are, for instance, going to be the number 1 overall pick.
You need to watch some tape, Tim.
None of them are going to be the number 1 overall pick.
We'll see.
Who?
Herbert, if he comes out.
I don't agree with that.
A lot of people saying he's high. They have a higher grade on him than any quarterback from last year.
Oh wow,
I'm not one of those people,
Nah.
but I have heard that as well.
It's out there.
Plus, I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, so it is what it is. Let's go ahead and move on and make our picks for week number 8 in the NFL. We'll cruise through these real quick. We all went with 10 wins last week.
10-4.
All of us 10. So pretty interesting.
Pretty
We're all
good.
pretty close still.
You lost Monday Night Football. You picked the Giants.
Did I? I might have.
You had to because you were leading the way.
Was I?
Yeah.
Fucking Giants. Maybe I was expecting the upset. They did cover the spread though with that last minute touchdown. As funny as that is.
I was wondering how many OBJ owners rejoiced and that got them the victory. That stupid last touchdown.
I was happy, but I still lost by 1 in 1 league.
I'm this big confidence pool, and my wife Amanda won last week, but she almost switched it she forgot, but she got lucky. She was down by 2. Guys, she was playing. Pick the Giants, fucking moron.
Wow.
And she had the Falcons, and she was gonna switch to the Giants because she figured he picked the Falcons since they were big time favorites. So she kind of got lucky.
Oh, that's very lucky right there.
I'm kind of pissed she won before I did.
Goes into the family pot.
All right, let's make our picks. Starting off with Thursday Night Football, which there are 4 Thursday games, not NFL, but 3 college big games and an NFL game, just saying. Thursday Night Football, Miami Dolphins at the Houston Texans. Big night for football. What do you guys got?
I hate the Texans, but they will be at home. Deshaun Watson won't have to take a bus to school this week. Dolphins are going to lose. Texans win big.
Tom, you're missing out. You forget. This is the Brosweiler's revenge game. Gets to face his own old team that
I
sold
hope
them
it
off.
happens. Hope it happens.
I still am not buying into it. Listen, the Texans have been on a roll. Dolphins are struggling. Everyone's hurt. Everyone's out. Give me the Houston Texans.
I have the Houston Texans as well. And I was listening to the radio driving home while the Dolphins were playing, and someone said the funniest nickname for Brock Osweiler, which is one that I have not heard yet before until that time, and I'm going to look it up, and I'm going to tell you guys what it is. Hopefully I can find it, but it is definitely not one that we've heard before.
It's definitely a hashtag good story, bro.
It's so funny. Next up, Philadelphia Eagles at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Another London game. We get football, 8:30 our time, 9:30 Eastern time. Tim hates it. I absolutely love it. Give me the Eagles. Blake Bortles has been struggling. That offensive line has been struggling. Leonard Fournette is not back. Carlos Hyde. Don't think he's going to do much this week. Give me the Eagles. I think that pass rush will be able to do enough.
Carlos Hyde ignites the Jacksonville Jaguars in London in a shitty game, because all London games are shitty games. The Eagles and their trash bag fans cry once again. Give me the Jags.
This could be an elimination game.
Could be.
It could be, yeah. I have to go with the Eagles. I think this might be the game where they just mail it in with Blake Bortles and say your time's over.
God, I hope so.
This might be the game.
Jaguar fans are the worst on Twitter.
Are they?
In the preseason. Now they're shutting up. But God. Sorry.
Moving on, we have the New York Jets at the Chicago Bears.
This is weird. This is like, Tim's like, his wife's next to him. Then his side bitch is coming to town. The Jets are coming to this game. Tim doesn't know who to hang out with, who to be talking to at this party, but he's going to stay with his wife. He's making the smart move. He's taking the Bears just like I am. Right, Tim?
I went the ballsy route last week. The only reason I tied you idiots is because I went with the Bears last week.
Okay.
That was I had more faith than I should have. I try to be the faithful husband, if you would, and it proved to me, you know what? Maybe it's best to just go back to your side bitch. But no, the Jets they're still not a good football team. As bad as the Bears are, this is a 100% must-win game if the Chicago Bears believe that they are a playoff team. I mentioned it earlier to Tom. Even with splitting the rest of their division games outside of the Packers, who they already played, they have to win these next 2 games with the Jets and Bills in order to potentially make the playoffs. So I will take the Chicago Bears here to win the game.
I have the Chicago Bears to win as well, but I just think that the New York Jets are just not that good, and I really hope that they just tear Sam Darnold apart in this game. But that's just me. 6 interceptions, 4 for touchdowns.
I'd be okay with it this week.
Next up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Andy Dalton remembers who he is, remembers that he's a real boy, and lucky for him, he gets to play a NCAA FB Division II's team defense this week in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bengals win big at home.
Andy Dalton just screwed a lot of fantasy owners last week. This is the week. He's the number 1 quarterback in the NFL in fantasy. Bengals win against the Bucs. I think it's a big shootout, potentially be the highest scoring game on the slate this week.
Yeah, I like a big bounce back game for Andy Dalton here, but I also like Jameis Winston's chances of putting up some points as well.
Scumbag.
But again, like you said, I can see a big scoring game, 38-32, something like that. I can definitely see that happen.
The Donald Trump of the NFL.
Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They played a pretty tight game. Week 1, I believe, went to overtime. Browns, they tied in that game.
Bad weather, though.
Steelers coming off the bye. They have to win this football game. Big Ben at home, completely different quarterback. That is still holding true. I think the Steelers find a way to win this football game. Big time win for Big Ben, James Conner.
I still think it's very, very, very close. I know the bad weather helped and hurt the Browns week 1. If it was not for the Browns screwing me last week, another one I would have beat you jerks by 2.
I picked the Browns.
Oh, did you? Okay, so I had the Browns winning. They did not. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh coming off of a bye. James Conner still tearing it up. The Browns are doing Browns things. I'm going to go with a tie.
You can't.
Can't do that.
I'm going to go with the Steelers. I wish they gave us the option for the tie, though, since there have been that many close games. Next up, Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs.
This is not going to end well for the Broncos. Right now,
they just put up 45 points, though.
That is true, but now they get Patrick Mahomes again. You know, Denver's defense has been able to get torched by running the football. I think Kareem Hunt has a big-time game. This might be a second half where Patrick Mahomes attempts 5 passes because they're winning so big.
Chiefs win. I'm not going to say anything else.
I think it's going to be a closer game than you guys think, and I'm not going to say this is a game where I would bench Patrick Mahomes or considering tempering my expectations, but I have been kind of on that. But this is going to be a close game.
So you are saying it or you aren't saying it?
It's going to be like a 23-20 game.
No.
23-20 game, something like that.
There must be like 80-mile-per-hour wind and like no quarterback can throw.
Does Patrick Mahomes just throw the ball backwards?
I'm going with Kansas City still to win the game.
He was the whole game left-handed.
Moving on, we have the Seattle Seahawks at the Detroit Lions.
I really liked what I saw of the Lions last week. Using Kerryon Johnson the right way, running him 19 times. I absolutely loved it. I'm going to go with the Lions. I think they're the hotter team right now. Seahawks have been playing a lot better than we thought. I thought this football team is going to win 4, maybe 5 football games, and they're already at 3. They're running the football, kind of ugly football. This is going to bring back some memories. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Lions win.
A guy who we all know. I wouldn't necessarily call him a friend. I don't want to play it out more than it was, but a guy who we all know who's kind of all around. Big-time Lions friend, Andrew Tagley, unfortunately passed away was it last week or 2 weeks ago. Super sad to hear that. Big Lions fan, and I would love nothing more. My best interactions with him were when he was trashing the Bears and I was trashing the Lions on Facebook. So Tagley, the Seattle Seahawks roll into Detroit and beat the piss out of the Detroit Lions. I hope you are living well, buddy.
I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. I think that they're doing the right things right now. Giving the ball to Kerryon Johnson, which is what they should do, and throwing the ball to Kenny Galladay, even though he only had 2 targets last week. Next game, Washington Redskins at the New York Football Giants.
Jesus Christ.
The Redskins should be able to win this football game. They're 4-2 right now. Just beat the Dallas Cowboys at home. They go on the road into New York. It's technically New Jersey. The Giants, they're 1-6 right now. This team is struggling. They beat the Redskins and go to 2-6. Upset City. Saquon Barkley, 298 rushing yards.
You beat me to it. I'm picking the Giants as well.
Upset.
All I want to say,
Dang
though,
it.
if I hear one more Giants player say, well, we don't feel like a 1-6 team, how many fucking times, sorry for cursing, but how many times they said it last year, we don't feel like a 1-4 team, we don't feel like you're bad. Get over. You don't have to feel like it. You are, idiot. Giants win anyway because I don't think the Redskins are good enough to beat 2 division opponents in a row.
Giants have a better team on paper, pure and simple. Even trading away Eli Apple because he was getting torched left and right on that defense. And the Giants, this is a must-win game for them if they want to try to do something with the rest of the season. But the Washington Redskins have been just finding ways to win games. Plus, I need to finally pick a game opposite of Tom, so I'm going to go with the Washington Redskins to barely eke out a win. It's going to be, I don't know, like 22-20 because they don't get a 2-point conversion.
They're like my least favorite team in the NFL.
Yeah.
No, the Redskins are terrible.
I just hate Alex Smith.
I hate everything about them. Hate their coach.
I like Darius Guys.
Hate their players. He's injured.
Baltimore Ravens at the Carolina Panthers.
It's a tough game. Panthers 4-2.
It's probably the toughest game to pick.
Yeah, Ravens are 4-3. Panthers coming off a W. Ravens just lost to a tough Saints team. I'm gonna go with. I think it's a road upset. I haven't looked at the spread in this football game. I think the Ravens are gonna be able to do enough to limit Cam Newton, and Joe Flacco will be able to move the football against inconsistent Carolina Panthers secondary.
No, sir. Give me Cam Newton, the Carolina Panthers. A good team, but my least favorite team to pick is the Carolina Panthers. I
get them wrong so much.
Yeah, that's the problem with them. You pick for them, they lose. You pick against them, they win. I'm picking this week. Give me the Panthers.
I am actually going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I like them on the road, and it's with the Panthers again, like we talked about before this episode. It's a tale of which team are you going to get. You have no idea. And the spread for that game, Tom, is
Carolina
1.5 for Baltimore.
Oh.
Yeah, -1.5 for Baltimore.
Yeah,
They are the road favorites.
Both pretty stout defenses.
Yeah.
I just think Cam's going to be able to do more than Flacco.
What's the point total? Low 40s?
That I don't have in front of me.
24.5.
Yeah, that'd be something. Next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts at the Oakland Raiders.
Raiders. I feel like they're trying to tank right now. We don't see this too often in football.
You think, eh?
Amari Cooper was just traded. The Oakland Raiders have 3 first-round picks now. And the Colts are coming off their best game this season. I think this is going to be a good way to send this football team, this extremely young football team, off on the bye. I think the Colts will be able to run the football in this game. I think the numbers for Andrew Luck will be down once again. But the Colts will win in Oakland and get to 3-5 in the season.
It's the Colts. The Raiders are bad. I wanted to pick the Raiders just to piss Tom off, but I can't do it. Andrew Luck has been playing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of buying into a little bit of the Colt propaganda. If you follow Tom on Twitter, don't do it. If you have like his alerts set so you see him all the time, like I do, because it's just nothing but Colts propaganda. Well, if Andrew Luck didn't have any drops, he'd have 15,000 yards this year.
He
like,
would.
It's absurd. Drives you crazy, but I agree. Give me the Colts.
Second in the league in touchdowns, bro.
Shut up.
20.
If the season ended, I think they said today, I think the Raiders would have picks number 4, 8, and 14, or something like that. Pretty interesting. I'm going with the Colts because the Raiders are hot garbage. But I expect Jordy Nelson to have a pretty decent game overall. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers at the LA Rams.
I'm going to start because I don't want to get my swag taken away by Tom, which it potentially could be. Listen, you guys said the toughest game of the week was Ravens, Panthers. I think this is the toughest game of the week. I think this is the week that the Rams get pushed. This is listen, especially coming off of a bye week. Aaron Rodgers getting that knee brace off. He sees this. Aaron Rodgers is the type of player, like most elite guys, who get up for certain games. I get the Rams might as well, but they just played a dud against the 49ers, right? It was just a boring game. Now they got to turn around and be ready for a, elite NFC team to come into their house. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be ready. They're going to know what to do. He's used to playing against a tough defenses. And I think Aaron Rodgers finds a way to go into Los Angeles with their 8,000 fans and hand the Rams their first loss of the season.
My Colts always play at noon. I always watch them. It's going to be tough to turn off the Green Bay Packers and the Los Angeles Rams football game. In my eyes, this is probably the game of the week. I'm excited about this game. It should be a shootout. Tim, I completely get where you're coming from. Aaron Rodgers can pretty much keep this Packers team in any football game. We've seen it done before, even though they are not an elite football team. But I can't go against the Rams right now at home with how Todd Gurley is playing. I'm expecting a big-time game from Jared Goff in that passing attack. We will see if Cooper Kupp plays. If Cooper Kupp plays, I think this can get ugly early, though.
Bob Woods and Cooper Kupp.
It's a dangerous combo.
I agree.
I'm going to go with the Rams, but Green Bay coming off of a bye, it's a very tricky situation.
I think Aaron Rodgers is the only person on the injury report.
Is he?
For the Packers.
I'm going to go with the Rams still. I think they're going to go to 8-0, but I think Green Bay needs to win that game too because they're 3-2-1. It's kind of a toss-up. I'm going to go with the Rams still regardless. It's a tough game though. San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals.
These teams just played. It was a bad football game, but I'm gonna go with the Arizona Cardinals getting their second win. With the promotion of Byron Leftwich at offensive coordinator. I have good feelings about this Arizona Cardinals offense in general. I think Josh Rosen, Larry Fitz, David Johnson all kind of get an uptick in fantasy value. Going with the Cardinals in this one.
I want to go with the Cardinals, Tom. I just think the 49ers are going to win this game. I think the Cardinals are just so bad right now. I don't think they know what they're doing. That offensive line is atrocious. I think the 49ers win.
David Johnson has a monster day.
220.
I don't even think it's 220 rushing. I think he's like 95 to 115 yards rushing, but catching the ball out of the backfield. That's the hot point. That's what
they need to do.
Apparently, Byron Leftwich. That's what he's going to bring to the table. I don't know if Tommy Turf Toe, freaking Josh Rosen's going to be the guy doing it, or if it's going to be Kurt Warner. I don't know who's going to be a quarterback. It doesn't matter. The first thing for the new offensive coordinator to do is say, hey, who's our best player that can control a game? That's David M.F. Johnson. And that's why he's going to have a monster game against the 49ers.
Next game, the Saints at the Vikings.
Woo!
Another awesome game.
NFC champion or division game rematch? Yeah, division game.
Divisional.
That was the one where
You hyped it up,
Diggs.
and
That's where Diggs went off. I was going to say championship. Sorry.
This is probably my second favorite game on the week. The other one's the Rams and Packers. Vikings Saints should be a fantastic matchup. We got that high-powered Saints offense going into Minnesota. We'll see if Dalvin Cook is playing in this football game. What's going on with the Minnesota Vikings offense? Will Adam Thielen get his 8th straight game over 100 yards? Another quality matchup for him going in the slot against, I believe it's P.J. Williams for the Saints, who's the third worst nickel corner in the NFL. So you should expect big things from Thielen again. I'm going to go with the road team of this game. I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints. This team is just firing all cylinders. That win against Baltimore last week was impressive, going on the road in the elements with weather issues, and they were able to win the game. Their offense wasn't 100%, but I just think Drew Brees right now is playing some of his best football of his career, and this team is a serious threat right now.
I see this as a... I know you guys aren't big hockey fans like I am, but like in hockey, when you get to the playoffs or at a certain point through the season, you're like, hey, the puck is just bouncing your way. I feel like the puck is just bouncing the Saints' way right now. I feel like they're set up. I feel like they're making like the last push. I know it hasn't been talked about a lot. I think this might be Drew Brees' last year. For some reason, I have a feeling...
He's playing one more. He wants that touchdown record.
I have a feeling he's going to win a Super Bowl and retire on top. Could be wrong. I have the Saints going in there. I think there's too many weapons. I don't think the Vikings have, even with Crazy Magoo coming back, Everson Griffin, I don't think the Saints have or the Vikings have the ability to stop the Saints offense.
I don't know. I like the Vikings. They've been churning out some wins late in games. The Saints, they've kind of been doing that lately as well. I like the Vikings. I like the Vikings in this matchup, and Thielen will get another 100 yards receiving. I think it'll be a decent day for the Vikings. Still waiting for Dalvin Cook to come back because he is something different for that offense.
Before you go into the next
completely
game,
changes it.
Before you go to the next game, I want to propose. NFL, you flex everything else to primetime games. Start flexing Monday Night Football games. Please. For the love of God, start flexing Monday Night Football games. The fact that I have to... It was hard enough for me to get, to watch any of Giants-Falcons this week with how bad that record is. Bills-Patriots should not be a Monday Night Football game. Get its division rivals. Just stop.
They don't care.
No, they
People
don't.
watch it
They don't care. It outperforms everything.
I'll be watching basketball.
It just pisses me off. It's so annoying.
Monday night game, Patriots at Bills. I'm gonna go with the Patriots.
Patriots.
Fair enough.
Not talking anything more about that.
Yeah, it's atrocious.
Really, yeah, not much interest. The only thing I'll probably be monitoring is Kenyon Barner, how much they're using him with the injury to Sony Michel. We know James White's really not that guy who's going to be running in between the tackles 15 to 20 times per game. We'll see if they bring anyone else in. We'll see Gronk's what he's doing. But
how interesting is that, right, with Kenyon Barner? Kenyon Barner was on the team. They cut him. Brought him back. They cut him.
Yeah.
He's back, and he had 10 carries.
That's the story of the New England Patriots, homie.
I don't know if the Bills have said who they're starting this week.
Who knows? It could be Byron Leftwich for all we know.
Is it Anderson again?
Yeah, it's going to be Derek Anderson again.
So, yeah. It's not a good Monday night game.
Yeah. Ended on a downer.
Yep.
Anything else on this week? Highest score, lowest score?
Highest score will be I'm going to go with the Rams. I think it'll be the highest. No, actually, I'm going to go with the Bengals. I think that game and them against the Bucks will be the highest scoring total. I think the Bengals will go and get into the 40s. It's going to be a total shootout.
I'm going to say Packers-Rams.
I'm going to say the Steelers is the highest scoring team.
Oh, the Packers got out of the way.
I'm going to go with the Steelers highest scoring. And I'm going to go lowest scoring. It's going to be the Raiders.
God, I hope it's the Raiders.
Lowest scoring, I have...
I'm going to go with the Jags. I think that game could be 10-8.
Lowest scoring, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that is an atrocious
Winston
pick.
Throws for 36 yards, 48 rushing.
Is a Trubisky game?
Yeah. I hate him, so I'm not offended by that.
All right, guys, that's all we have for you. Hope you guys enjoyed the recap and the picks that we have for you. Week number 7, week number 8 in the NFL. You guys can always follow us on Twitter at PonyKegSports, at Pony_Keg_Tom. And if I talk Tim, email us ponykeggsports@gmail.com. And until next time.
Peace!